Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another Thursday night Scrap Your Scraps with Crafty Chris. Tonight we are going to use up some of our mixed media things to create some ATCs for March. The theme this month for my ATC group is Aquamarine and Lucky. So just a little bit about how I prepare for ATCs. So often I will, as I'm working with paper, I will cut paper up that I think is kind of fun to use as backgrounds for my ATCs. Some of them are wild and wonky, multicolored. Others are simpler. If I can get that back in without, there we go. So I have, like, at the front here, I just have black and white. And then I have ones that remind me of vintage backgrounds. I have things that are blue and purple. So just random papers. I've got a lot of Japanese paper in there too. I have reds. This was a cut up piece, a couple of pieces of gel prints that I made. So just anything that is small enough to be considered the 2.5 by 3.5 inch ATC size. It can be plain paper, it can be paper that I've used for scrapbooking. It can be anything basically. So what I'm showing you here is I also save paper towels that have been used, and I have like a pile of paper towels that are in a container that said that they are ready to use because I feel they are finished, and I divide them into color. And then I have a whole pile here that I pull out when I'm working because I feel like there's something missing. So these become my dry paper towels that wipe up messes. And I try to be aware when I'm using these that the colors that I'm adding add some interest. So they may be complementary colors and pop on these unfinished pieces. So I keep them all in the same container and just pull them out. Here's one that a couple that I've been working on this last week. This is a new one because I was using a different kind of ink. And this was an old one that was very pale. And so I did a lot of work with green and yellow, and I added that in. So we're working our way to completing these ones. So I have literally gone through my bags of stuff. Oh yes, and I forgot to tell you, jelly prints. So I have a whole whack of jelly prints here that I use as backgrounds for different things. They can be scrapbook pages, they can be cards, they can be three-dimensional items, multitudes of things that I cut these up and glue to. So I've pulled out here, these were, what do you call them? Wipes, the wet wipes. So I happen to like some of the texture that was happening on them and the glitter paste, and the color definitely works in the realm of aquamarine. Aquamarine can be light to a medium dark color. This has got mostly blue and yellow, but some of the areas in here I can rip apart and use in a compilation on a ATC card. And the neat thing about paper towels is that if you're really careful, you can get two paper towels in one. So I think that's kind of fun that you get double your work and effort. And this one is a mistake. I must have got stuck on something. This one I have, again, areas where I have that sort of aquamarine color, and I pulled this one out because I actually like the texture. Like I would just cut it in the area that has the texture to use on one of my ATCs. And again, here's another piece. And like I said, if you pull them apart very carefully, and sometimes if you have paste on them, they don't come apart very well. but if you're patient, you might be able to get something out of them in terms of 2 pieces at one time. Now, on this side of things, I have pulled aside things that go in the realm of Aquamarine, and the rest of these guys are going to go back in the drawer. I don't order those by color because there's just a lot of my jelly printing is multicolored, so I just kind of look for things that show the color that I'm interested in. This is an interesting piece. It has a gold shimmer on it, but it is actually in the greeny blues, similar to Aquamarine. So I find it quite dark, so I probably wouldn't use a lot of it, but it might be an interesting combination because you can see it goes well with these more aquamarine color pieces. Here I wouldn't use the red, but I really like what's going on in some of these areas with the red. Again, it's kind of orangey here, and here is more typically red. And then this one has a multitude of sort of interesting little pockets in it I can pull out. This is just a mono print with just one color, or there might be 2 colors because I can see blue under there, so probably blue and yellow. It turned out really nicely. Part of the Aquamarine family is this sort of light bluish color, so you know, taking in some of this textural bit might be fun. And then again, many more. This is a roll-off. It wasn't even intended to be anything, but I kind of like the way the drippiness at the top is working. And stencils and more things. This might be a little vibrant, but the reason I pulled it out was because it has the green in it, which is kind of like Irish. And the combination in the green and the blue together, I think, is striking. Here, probably the only area that I would be looking at is where it is more basically that aquamarine color. There's some drippy bits at the side here that are kind of fun. The rest of it would probably be left for another project. This has the aquamarine just in this section. I thought that was very interesting. So I pull these papers apart and pull out the sections that I want. And this one is like a dark aquamarine. It's coming through, I think, a little too blue on your end, but because I'm looking at the camera, at the image on my screen. But it is kind of aquamarine, and it also has some shimmery effect on it too. So these are all things that I'm going to play with today when I'm doing my ATC cards. Now, ATC cards do need to have a base. Sometimes the paper is heavy enough, like I do a lot of jelly printing on cardstock and mixed media paper, which is a heavier weight. Those I would use verbatim, but all of these guys that I've picked today are light, so they're going to need to have some sort of a base underneath them. Now, whether I choose a pattern base or not depends on whether I can find something in the aquamarines. So I'm going to look under my green section and my blue section, and I'm also going to pull out white and black because they tend to be good underneath. And the thing I want to avoid, oh, these huge markers here. The thing I want to avoid is having too much black, too much white. I want it to be that aquamarine color. So I'm just going to quickly go through my pieces in the blue. Now they're right there. They're right there. That has the same colorway. So that is already an ATC card ready to roll. That one is too. This one's a bit too purpley. And this one is dark. Some of these are interesting Japanese papers. Not gonna work for me, but look at all of that I cut up was from the same thing, so that's kind of fun. Let's see, that's a little too blue. This has some purple in it. The problem with the purple is it really changes on these 2 pieces the color of the greeny blue. So I think this one would work. but I find that the other ones have too much purple on them. And yeah, these are all a little too purpley. And I think that that's probably going to be it for my blues. Looks like it is. So I'm just going to split my blues in half here. Put half on my one side and the other side so I can fit that back in my ATC container. Now, I may not use all these, and then they'll go back filed away again. And this is my greens. Now, let's see. Surprisingly, this is showing up probably brown for you, but it's a very khaki green. There's some more Japanese paper, which are khaki greens. That's a little too green. I'll pull out these two slots. Those can go back. This is pretty, but it's not the colors I need. So I've just cut up a bunch of things that are possible beginnings of ATC cards. These lighter ones, I may trim them up or rip them if I want a particular section out of them. And this one, that one might go in there, kind of fun. Okay, I'll keep that to the side. And there's another one of those. And these guys again are the Japanese papers, and they are just a little too green. All right. So that helped out a lot. I've got a bunch of bases that I can start with if I choose to use them. So what I'm going to do now is just kind of lay everything out in front of me. And this just kind of lets me have a minute to look at what's going on in the actual papers themselves. Okay. And then I kind of play around with, let's start with our papers first. So I feel like I'm going to cut that up and use this whole thing as multiple bases. So I'm going to cut that into 2.5 by 3.5 inch pieces. So I'm not going to take that apart at the moment. I can tear a little bit out of here, but I feel like that color might be just a little too overwhelming for some of these. You're getting a flash in that. Let me change that. No, turn that off. There you go. So that's more the accurate color of that. This is quite pale, so I'm going to switch that around. Let's get the non-reflective stuff over here so you can see what I'm seeing. There we go. And I'll put this back just a bit. There we are. So now you're having a better image of what I see in front of me. And I'm just finding that this green that I had intentions of using might not fit in so well. So this paper is going to go back in the pile. I love the texture on this. And it's a little on the greeny side. So let's kind of separate. These guys are on the bluey side, and these guys are on the greeny side. Now I can see this melding into there somehow. So I'm going to pull that piece out for these guys. This has such a small bit there, but it may not be a bad thing to add because it's got some red that might pop it a bit. If I put it on this greeny background, do you see where I'm going there? That's a possibility for that one. This I think is verging too green. Yeah, we're gonna remove that one. This one I love, but I really feel like it's going to be too overpowering. That's almost something I want to cut down into a card or something else. So I think we'll leave that aside. Now we've got some interesting greeny stuff happening in here. And I think I might like to play with that a little bit. I'm going to put that in this pile here. And so I just organized my papers around the stuff that I see and how I think it's going to fit in with what's playing out on the paper. And this one needs a bit of help, so let's see. I think that will blend in with that one okay. Maybe I'll get 2 out of that one. And what else do we have here? This plain ridge across the top I'm in love with, but I'm thinking that it might be a little too green. It might play out better on this. And I have that kind of wonky top there that I could maybe play with that. And what do we have here? I love what's going on in this area. And I like this flower, and I'm wondering if I can get that flower on there. So I think I'll put that to the side. This one I think is just too blue. Yeah, because this looks a little greenier beside it. I don't want it to match, but I need it to be sort of in the same range. And this is much more impactful. Where's that other piece that I had here? But this is more blue, so I'm going to keep that for another day. This is interesting. I feel like I can do something with this, like in this area with some of that texture. So I'm going to play with that. And then this one, this has purple already in it. And I feel like that might be too much. Actually, I like that on its own as a background. This is a little too green. That might be, the purple glitter with that might be a bit much. All right, let's see what I have here for paper towels. I'm just gonna play around looking for things that strike my eye. And it really is just that, looking for things that strike your eye. Like I like some of this crunchiness on this paper. And I feel like I can get it in there. So I think I'm going to try it with that one. And I think I'm just going to hold over a couple of these guys for as I move into making something. All right, so let's see. The easier ones are these guys, where I know exactly the pieces that I want to take out. So I am technically not a scissor user when I'm doing these kinds of things. So I am going to actually just rip out and keep a raw edge on this area where that ink was. And this is going to go back into my stash for another day. And I'm just going to try and get that hard edge off there. Make this a little bit. And look, that's going to be beautiful. Now, where do I put it? Kind of feel like I just take that off. We have a bit of a straight edge there. But I think maybe I should put it over top of some of this. No. So I just play around with it on the paper to see where it looks the best to me. I actually think it's going to go in this corner. So to get this on, I just use some Collage medium. Just a little bit. I should probably have my medium matte. Let me just get that on my area first, because it will make a mess. Not that my mat isn't already a mess. There we go. All right, back to what we were doing. And I'm just going to I'll use my rubber spatula. So I want to put some mixed media or Distress Collage It's a Ranger product, Tim Holtz Ranger product. And I'm just going to mush that right down on there. Oops. And I like to have a good coating underneath. And then if I find that it's lifting up, I can put the leftovers that I squish out. There we go. And that goes back in there. Let's hold that closed so it doesn't dry out. All right. So now I've got to start here. So I'm going to go through and get my starts on my papers. So this one, I would like to see this, because it's going in the opposite direction of these lines, I kind of would like to, you know, give it a tear and a tear, maybe a little bit. There we go. And a tear across the top, down the side, and just place that in the top there, just to give it a little bit of contrast. So again, put some of my collage medium, nice thin layer. You don't have to have it thick on both pieces. Place it where I want it. Kind of trying to make sure that the lines are perpendicular to each other. And then go over with another layer. There we go. And so this is how I build my backgrounds. The imagery of luck will come in after the fact. All right, so I had an idea that I wanted to take this flower out, and I'm not going to do I'm going to do a raw edge, but not, I don't want to have the white showing on this one. I'm just going to pull it out like that, and I think I need to stick that kind of like it in there just to cover up that white spot. So I think that's what we're going to do. Whoop, not too much. It might be a little too much, Chris. Okay. Get this on quickly. Now I've forgotten how I wanted it. I think I wanted it facing down. There we go. I like it like that. Pull off all the leftovers on the mat. I just smush it down. Make sure it's sealed all the parts. And whatever's left goes back in the jar. Now I could do this, rip all the papers and then do the gluing of them. Whatever works for you. Okay, now we have these two guys. And I'm gonna just rip right down, and that can go away. And I think gonna rip like that. And you know, I'm isolating an image on this piece. But I mean, it's kind of isolated the image on the other piece as well. So now I want to see how I want to play this. Let's see what we have happening here. I don't think I mind the square side on that. I think I'm going to shoot for this. Just take that across the top. I can decide to trim it if I want to later. If I have it over the edges and I decide I don't want it to hang over the edges. All right. And quickly with the collage. Okay. That's one done. All right. Get those two things put together. And there's enough on my mat and my piece for me to get a nice seal on that. There we go. Alrighty. That's not all of them. Where'd the other ones go? Hang on a second. Oh, there we go. So these go back in my stash. This one, I really want to get some of this crunchy stuff. Now, I have two layers here. What do I get off when... So you can use both sides, the positive side, which has the brightest colors, or you can use the negative side, which has less bright colors. Okay, so I am going to crunch this up on my piece. So I'm going to need a fair bit of paste at the moment for that one area. So let's put that there. And I'm just going to manage it down in this corner. And make sure that I get lots of glue, or not glue, but collage paste on there. And that I have it nice and smushed. And you can't really see it now until it dries, but you'll be able to see all those crunchy layers when it's finished. All right, and that's going to go back in the save pile. And these guys, I think it was this one I wanted to play with the idea of this rippy thing. And I'm just ripping it off. So if I put a piece here, so if that goes there, and then a little bit comes out of the bottom, maybe I don't even need it that big. Let's just try this. A little piece coming out of the bottom. We can have a piece maybe if I do that coming from the side, or maybe we have it coming from this side. Yeah, I think I like that. All right, so we're going to put lots of stuff under there and there. Now you will know if you notice if you use water reactive inks like the distress inks on your paper towels, you will get the color of the ink coming off on your collage medium. So you just want to be careful about that if you care about it. I'm not a big carer about it, so it's whatever happens, happens in my book. Oops, now I can't get that off. There we go. And stick that down there. Okay. I'm going to have to clean my mat just a tiny bit because now we are full on messy. There we go. And I have dog hair in there too, because I have a dog whose hair is everywhere. Okay. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this piece yet, so I'm going to leave that open. Now I'm just going to give a quick spray to my mat. Actually, I don't even have to do that. Just get my scraper out. And my scraper will take care of it's better probably that I did it without water because it comes up quicker and easier. There we go, and you just roll it right into your garbage can. Any scraper will do. All right, that can go back in my stash. Oh, do I want it to go back in my stash? There's a drippy bit. That's kind of interesting there. This time without any white line around the outside. Now let's decide how we want to see this. All right, I'm just going to have that kind of come in from the corner like that, or like that, maybe like that, just a tiny little bit. That coming from the corner. There we go. Now, I'm going to tear that off. And I could put just a bit of this up there. Sometimes I throw away the little tiny bits that I have left over. Sometimes I find a spot for them on the same work. In this case, kind of like the way this is going. All right. And isn't that interesting? I've got 2, 4, 6, 8 already made. So that's it. Now let's pull these all out and see what else we can do to beef them up just a little bit. And also to decide which direction is up, which I can sometimes do now, but sometimes I have to wait until I get the things that are lucky put on them. Let's see. These are only 1 layer thick. I feel like I want to have something there. Most of the time I don't mind some white space, but sometimes I feel like I need to hope to get some of that in there. Nope, I don't think I'll do that. So this is the time where, you know, things just kind of develop. Now this I have to cut. I can't, oh, I like the way that folds over. I can't rip this. So let me see how I want to do that. So sometimes ripping works, but other times, okay, the chunky stuff is on there. I feel like I want that to be like that. Or even down like this. There we go. I think that's where I want it. Now this, I'm actually going to put a tiny bit of glue because it's 3-dimensional. I want to make sure that I'm getting it stuck down. So I use clear glue, clear quick drying glue. So I want to leave that textural bit. See what happens. That might be challenging. I like this clump of crystal-y stuff here. And I'm going to try and trim it right to the edge of the crystal-y bit. So that I can just stick this crystal-y bit down. I feel like it has to, something has to go in this corner for some reason. Yeah, I think that'll do. Alrighty, So let's see what else we have here. Okay, I'm going to go back to this piece and so I tend to use a lot of recycled copy paper, and that's what this is. And so when I tore it, it separated the upper print from the bottom print layer. I'm just going to add another little bit of the turquoise over top of this piece to give it some depth. And then I can do with this. So now we have some things happening. This one I think I'm going to have, some of these I may change the direction that they are actually going to be in. I kind of like this one sideways. It almost looks like a forest and trees and a rock. In fact, I think I'm going to stop on that one. I like that exactly the way it is. This one is going to need a little more work. This one and that one, we need to do some things. This one is getting there. Let's see what else we have here. I like this contrast, so I'm going to go back to that paper and see what else I can pull out. Where I just give a hint of that green, but I'm loving this little bit here. Nope, that's not going to work. I don't feel that one yet. This one I might be able to do some of this on there. Just kind of patch it in, that corner. There we go. I like that. And I'm okay with all the raw edges there. Get just a little bit more. Okay, that's going in a better direction. So these guys are heading there. This guy I'm still struggling with. That one is done. This guy needs something. Now, how do I see him? I almost see it like a wave. What do we have in my pile of things? Oh, you know what they have? We have this kind of interesting sort of border here. Let's see if we can break up this horizontal with a vertical. So something like that, running top to bottom. Yeah, I think that will work. I'm going to leave a little bit of that open. This is getting there too. Not figuring out what to do with this one yet. Okay, I'm going to wipe down this a bit because we're getting sticky. There we go. All right, now that one's fine. Let me play with these two little. So I have this triangle I want to see because it's a different shape, but it's angular. I want to see how I like it. Now remember, these pieces are going to different people, so I don't have to worry so much that the pattern is going to be repeated. I'm not really worried too much about repeating the pattern that way. And this can go here. Trying to build little sort of landscapes that aren't landscapes, but can be interpreted like landscapes. You know what I mean? Oops, come back here. Compositions. Nothing that really is anything, but that looks reminiscent of a cloud and some mountain ranges. You know what I mean? All right. Okay, we need to have some stuff coming down on that one. And this time I feel like I want to these are all not used. That was done with tissue, so you know what I think I'll do? I'll add in some of this. No, maybe not that one. It's a little too green. Okay. I'm going to cut this one out again. It's another piece of that crunchy stuff. But I'm going to cut all the way down to the bottom. Ooh, this stuff is not easy to cut. Doesn't help that I have short scissors. So let's switch to the long scissors. There we go. All right. Okay, so now what I want is I'm going to do like pouring rain. I have it in my head what it's going to look like, but we will find out what it really looks like after the fact. And this is too thick. You have to have sharp scissors for this stuff. There we go. All right. So this is going to go on here, and then I'm going to glue these and spread them out. I know it's kind of a strange concept, but I think it will look okay. I might make this just slightly smaller. and rounder. There we go. And I think I'm going to take off one of these guys. There we go. Make sure I trim that nice and smooth. There we go. Some of the garbage out of the way here. So once I've got sort of the compositions the way I want them, then I go looking for things that remind me of luck. So I'm just going to glue the top part of this first. And I'm going to have it as close to the side as I can. Press it down this way, then I don't get it stuck all over my fingers. There we go. And trim across the top there. And now these little tentacle-y things are going to spread out from there. This one's going to go down. Right along the edge. There we go. And then this one. I'm going to take the two center ones and split them up, and then that tells me how much space I have for the other two. Whoop. Stay out of my way. There we go. So I just kind of give a light gluing, and they're going to split up like that. Light gluing. Sorry, you can't see what I'm doing. Actually, let me put the overhead on here so the lighting's a little better. There we go. So I've spread everything, and these two alternating ones are going to go in the center. So I'm just going to glue right down the center and pull that down so you can see what's going on underneath the paper. The paper is poking through there. Oh, maybe I didn't have to pull it that far apart. So I'm going to have to redo that one. Hang on a second. There we go. There we are. And then this can go down here. There we go. So all those pieces are spread apart now, and I'll trim everything up at the end. So it kind of looks like a cloud, and then all this rain coming down. I don't know, I kind of like it. I like that the way it is right now, even with that white on the side. May change my mind later, but for now, it's good. Alrighty, now we have some interesting things going on in here. This one is causing me a bit of problems. Those ones are coming along. I just don't think the color is right for that. Let's see what I have here. So I'm just kind of playing around with potential things I could be doing. Don't really want to cover up that cool stuff that's happening there. But it is possible that it's part of my difficulty with this piece. I like that. Okay, so I am going to cut this because I only want what's here. There we go. Okay, just going to put some stuff across the top here. And this piece is going to fit right across the top. So, oh, I forgot to put stuff on the back of it. That's why it's not sticking. Just like that again. Whoops. I meant for that whole piece to go across there. There we go. Alrighty. Let's all right. I actually see this now as a vertical piece. It's looking better. All right, so to prevent this from being a super long video, you've seen sort of how I'm playing around with things here. So that is basically my whole thought process while I'm building these pieces. I am going to finish getting them prepared, and then we'll talk about the elements that I put on top to indicate luck and to finish off the pieces. So I have gathered a number of different things. So I did, okay, start all over, Chris. I went online to do a bit of a research about things that are considered lucky. So there are different cultures that have different ideas of what lucky is, different races as well. And I pulled out some of the things that I knew I had little bitty bits and decor pieces for, because the theme this month is Aquamarine and Lucky. So I did pull out a number of different things. My lucky items are these cute little ladybugs. I don't know if I can focus enough for you to see them, but they're super tiny. Okay, ladybugs. Keys are lucky. Acorns are considered lucky. So I have some acorns in multiple different varieties. So I've put us, and also I'm using these hearts to make a 4-leaf clover because that is also lucky. So I kind of have spread. Oh, and goldfish are lucky, and I had a goldfish stamp, so I'd like to use that in one of my pieces. I think I'm going to use it in that one. And then I went and looked up little chipboard pieces I had that had anything to do with luck, taking a chance, anything like that. So I have a number of different things like be brave, that's kind of like taking a chance. Just one life, you know, roll the dice, see what happens. Take risks, make a wish. A little magic can take you a long way. We only regret the chances we didn't take. If you're lucky enough to be different, never change. And this one says, those who don't believe in magic will never find it. So kind of that idea. So I don't know how these are all going to play out or which ones I'm going to put them on, but I'm going to put them to the side. I've kind of laid out things that I think are going to work for me. How they end up working in the end will depend on how I work it out. So this one is the one I wanted to do the fish, and I really just want to do a background of the fish. So I have some Archival Hickory Smoke. It's a neutral kind of gray, but I have to do a stamp off because it straight off the pad is too dark. Oh, by the way, once you've put any kind of a sealing glue on your ATC card, like the collage paste or the clear white glue, it's very hard to stamp over it with water-based inks. So I have the Archival inks that I'm using for this purpose. And this kind of reminds me of an underwater scene. So I'm just going to lightly in the background put fish swimming by. Oh, try that again. Might need to have it a little bit heavier. There we go. Just very light images of fish swimming by. See, that's just a little too dark. And then it's a little too light. See, I've got some different there we go. A little bit of darkness across the bottom. That didn't work. Gonna juice it up, then tap it, then put it on. It's a little better. So you get this idea that there's fish happening in the background there. Now just to make sure that it dries, I'm going to hit it with my heat gun, if I can find my heat gun, just for 2 seconds, nothing big. There we go. All right, so that's my lucky fish, and on the back of the ATC, I'm going to write down what it means in terms of what kind of luck it is. So, for instance, this says, let me go to my desktop. It says here, I have to find it for you. So goldfish. Goldfish is believed to attract luck and prosperity in Feng Shui. So I'm appropriating that image for my finished piece. Now I do not think I'm going to trim, or I'm just going to actually rip this piece off because I don't mind if it's jagged. I'm going to leave that on because I kind of like the jaggedness of it. I might rip that little bit off the top there. Alrighty. And so when you get close, you can see all those different layers. I am going to put the key. First of all, let's choose a sentiment. What would be a fun sentiment to have here? I don't like that little we only regret the chances we didn't take. So I could put this, this, and this. So we got double the amount of luck on here because we've got the key, we've got the fish, a triple, and we've got the little ladybug. I don't like the color that this is, but I'm afraid that if I change it, it will be too much matchy-matchy. Sorry, I'm out of screen there. So I think I'm just going to leave it. Now, do I change this? Do I put this in this direction, holding up the sentiment? Do I put it in this direction with the sentiment on it? Like that. So there's like a whole bunch of different ways you could actually have this on your page. And I kind of like that. Leave some space between the two and then put the little ladybug on there. So first of all, let's get the ladybug on. Now the ladybug is hollow, which is a bit of a problem. So I'm going to need to put enough glue. I think actually I'll put a pop dot, little tiny corner of a pop dot in there, just because I need to fill that spot. And I don't need to have a lot. I literally just took a little corner of the pop dot, and I'm just going to put it in there to fill up that gape. There we go. And that should work well with glue. So now I'm not going to waste a ton of my glue trying to fill up that hole. And let's turn this over. We're going to have it, and I have to hold it for a minute because it is quick like dry glue, but it does take a minute to stick. There we go. Didn't need much of the pop dot, just a tiny little bit. And now we just have to put some weight on it because it doesn't seem to want to be staying all on its own. So let's put some weight on it. Out of my way. No, that probably won't stay. Or maybe. Alrighty. So in a moment, I will have that done. In the meantime, I can glue this down. I'm pretty sure this is not a sticky. No, it is not. I'm going to stick it right about here. There we go. Hold that down. See how we're doing here. Oh yeah. It's almost ready to go. I'm just going to leave that to one side and move on to the next one. This one, my lucky pieces are going to be the 4-leaf clover. I have this little tag here that I'm going to put the butterfly on, and I've got some acorns. Now, I do not want any white on the acorns, so I am going to trim these acorns out. All right, so I trimmed out these acorns, and these ones are so fragile that I decided not to trim out these guys. So it's just, I'm going to leave those ones with the white on them to keep them less fragile. All right, so we have this piece here. Let's go back and finish this one. This one is dry now. and I'm going to leave it natural, and I am going to glue it down. Something on it that needs to come off. There we go. And I just glue it with little tiny dots of clear glue. And this we said we wanted to have underneath. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to stand up and try to center that on there. There we go. I like this, but I think it's missing something down here. So I'm going to put it aside to figure out what that something is. So I feel like I need something three-dimensional here, but we'll figure that out. There's always time for figuring that out. All right, so this one I want to have, and this is an old one, you can tell because it peeled right off of its base. I am not going to worry about, well, maybe I will worry about putting some string on that. Let's see what string I have. I have this string, and I feel like I want to go with the brown, the light brown, because that, and I'm just going to do a little bit of string. Try and put that back up. Oops. Oh. Alrighty. Now I have to try and avoid my glue. Actually, you know what? I am just going to wipe the glue off so it doesn't dry and become a problem. And we will do this first. So I'm just going to tie a knot and leave ends. I'm not going to do a bow. There we go, and just have it, pull it so it comes down the way I want it. Trim it just a bit shorter. There we go. And now I can put the glue on it and stick it down. So I feel like I need to have that hanging in this corner. Just give it a minute. I love doing these little tiny works of art. You can do, like I said, I've got 8 of them I'm working on at one time here. Now these guys are lucky as well. So I think I'm gonna glue one of them flat, the big one flat. Maybe over in this corner. And I'm going to pop dot the little one with just a tiny bit of pot dot. That might even be too much. No, it's perfect. Oops. So that pops up just a tiny little bit. There we go. Got some dimension happening. And this little guy, I was just going to leave that blank, but let's figure out. I'm just trying to figure out what looks best on this one. Before I finish up my last pieces. Because I was hoping to do, let's see. So these are 4 hearts that I'm making into a 4-leaf clover. And I'll just get a pen to put a stem on there. So do I put my Be Brave there? I do have to tear a few things off here. So this is a little too much. So we're going to tear that back. I don't mind having the rough edge. Just don't want to have all that extra paper. And we have to tear off this as well. And there we go. All right, so there's our finish size. And do I just put Be Brave? Or do I put it over here? Or do I put it down there? This coloring is actually a little bit better. What if I did that? Or I can just put this right on there. Maybe on this side. Or can go on the Lucky Clover. Or I can go here. Ugh, there's just too many options. I can't make up my mind. I think I like that. Okay, so got to put a dot there and a wispy just going to get my reddish brown. It's a little too reddish brown. There we go. And I'm just going to do a wispy. And then I think this little guy is going to come down there. I think that's what I like. There we go. All right. So again, got to put a little bit of a pop dot in here. Very small little amount. All right, I'm going to need tweezers for this. Got just a little bit too much glue. There we go. And I want him crawling towards the acorns. Okay, sorry, got glue all over me. Just going to put some weight right on top of him while I'm waiting for that to happen. Going to glue this on. All right. Now I think I need something more sparkly in the middle of that. And I'll probably go back and add that kind of thing afterwards. But since I'm here, I'm just going to add a little bit of unicorn stickles into the middle of that. And I think I'll draw that brown a little darker and stickle it as well. Oh yes, I like that. That looks good. This needs a minute. All right, I'm going to move this to the side while we move on to the next thing. All right, this one, I had this ancient sticker, and this is what using stickers up is all about, correct? Use everything you have. Now, it is quite sticky, so I think I'm going to leave it. But I like that it went very well with what's going on in here in terms of the colors. Just going to make sure it won't fall off. And then we have this little thing. I'm just going to make that a little more pop rounded because it was quite flat there. And I'm going to stick it coming out from inside the flower. And I'm only gluing at the bottom so that that kind of curled that bit that I just made there will give it some dimension. And again, you have to hold it for a second. There we go. And now a little magic can take you a long way. And where's my butterfly gonna go? I actually feel like I want to hide him a little bit on this one. I don't want to cover up too much that's going on there. And I feel like I need to move this. So let's pull this out. It needs moving. All right, let's figure out where this is going to go first. I kind of like it there. Do I want it on a jaunty angle? I kind of like it on a jaunty angle. So let's glue that down. Kind of in the middle of that space. There we go. All right, now back to these guys. The wires are all crossing here. Whoops. So that's not a good thing. In pulling these out, I've kind of ripped it. But you know what? It will be okay. This guy is going to go down there. And our little guy here, another little piece, much glue. All right, that guy's fine down there. And now this guy, let me just borrow this guy for a minute. Do I want him in the center? No, do I want him up here? Do I want him down here? There. 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 I think I want him on the corner. Again, we're going to have to pick him up with tweezers. There we go. Put that aside. Hopefully that'll stay. This guy's happening. So this one to me is complete. I like it just the way it is, but I was going to do a darker. Sometimes these very fine pens clog up easy. There we go. And then I'm just going to follow along that with a tiny bit. There we go. That's kind of fun. I'm just going to make sure that it is more on the line. There we go. Don't want to overload it. And the brown underneath just makes it go a browny, glittery color. There we go. All right, and now this one is done. Oops, focusing is a problem. All right, so that's 2 down. I'm going to do this one next because I know exactly what I'm doing with this one. I am going to pop the top but glue the bottom of this hinge. So let's get a little bit of tape. I'm going to pop dot the top. And just got to trim a little bit because it's a bit narrow. And then I'm going to glue the bottom. And this is going to sit right at the edge of the paper. There we go. So that gives it its 3 dimensions, but it looks like it's folded in. I like this key just being parallel to that. Oh, but we need a message, don't we? Oh, let's see. The screws better here because there's more space for them. 3 screws. Let's just put that sort of in the middle there. There we go. That kind of looks interesting. Yes, that has a little bit more oomph to it. And this little guy's going to go back up there. Like it. Okay. So let's put this guy on before we forget what we're doing. So let's just put some weight on them there. Not sure what I'm doing with that key yet. So I'm moving this over here so I can finish this one. Now, how do I feel about that? Take some of this off. There we go. Get some of this out of the way here. Do I like that? I think I do, but I think I feel like I need glossy accents down there to give some dimension. So I'm just going to push out my glossy accents. It needs a poker, which I have here somewhere, just to wake it up. There we go. Woo! It's coming out very nicely now. There we go. That's all I need. And so that glossy accent is giving it a 3-dimensional effect. And now I am happy with that. This, I think I need to do some glossy accents as well. On here. There we go. And now I am happy with that one. Let's just get these out of the way so I don't put my fingers in them. This one I'm not quite finished with. It's going to stay to the side. That one I'm working on. This one I haven't really figured this one out either. Those who don't believe in magic will never find it. I think I like that. I like the shape of it on the piece as well. It's a very plain and simple piece. I'm going to make sure I have it. There we go. And I have this silly little red ladybug, which I can have come from up at the bottom here, just to give it a little bit of something. I'm going to trim off the bottom of that because we don't need the extra. Actually, you know what? Ooh, can I come off? Careful. There we go. I think our ladybug is going to come out of this little nest that I've created here. It's like a little nest. There we go. In that fold. There. Very simple. Too much glue. Very simple, but I think I need to do a little bit of work up here. I am going to add some glitter, same glitter I used on the other, and I'm just going to enhance the circle so it's kind of random. And just gives it a little bit more oomph. And I'm just going to do a half circle underneath the title as well. So there we have it. It's got some sparkle on it. And I actually quite like it now, except it needs one little bit right there. There we go. That one's good to go. This one is going to be simple. We've got sort of like a northern star effect happening. Actually, I like it better that way. And our ladybug. And we need a simple statement. Put that up there. Pull that up there. And put our little guy walking towards the star. I think I like that. Okay, that makes me happy. Just want to get some of this off of here. So we don't need all of that along the bottom. I don't mind if there's a little, like I said. I don't mind if the edge is not absolutely straight. Now this guy, I feel like I want to pop dot him. So maybe I'll pop dot him in the center and then glue back the tips. So let's get a small piece of pop dot to fit in the center. There we go. And then I just want to glue the tips Nice thing about clear glue is that it disappears if you get too much on it. And I just realized we need to put this down first so we know where to put our star. There we go. Take risks. And my star is ready. I want the purple at the top. There we go. And now I can push all the points down. It's going to be hard to keep them all attached. There. Just takes a little bit of finagling. There we go. And our points are down, except for that one doesn't seem to want to stick. Just hold it a little longer. Alrighty, and now we can get our little guy here. And fill him up with some glue. And grab him. And I'm going to put pressure on him on this side. And now we're going to look at this one. Not sure about the key. How I feel about the key. If I even want the key. It's kind of going off the edge there. I could have the key in the center, and then I can color that a bit darker and sparkle it. That's what I think I'll do. So here we go, putting dots around the key. Putting the key under the lock, or not the lock. There we go, just hold it for a few minutes. There we are. Now we have a couple of finishing things to do on here. I'm going to wipe off my glue. Too much stuck on it. There we go. Some finishing things to do on this one. I'm going to color it brown. That's one thing I'm going to do. And I have to find the brown that I like. I think it was bark. Let's see if that's the right color. Yeah. So I don't worry about doing the sides of the key because the sides are already burnt. Okay, I am going to try and give it a little bit of shape by making it darker on one side so it appears like there's a light source somewhere. It's hard to see, but there is some dimension on that. from the ink. I think we'll leave it like that for now, and I'm going to put the Glossy Accents. Woo! Came out very quickly. Need some of that on here. Don't really want these to be too big. So I'm going to take some of that off. Nice thing about mats is nothing really sticks to them. All right, there we go. So there's our finished piece. I really like that one now. This one I think is done. Yep, I'm just going to put a little bit of glitter in the center. Yep, that's good. That one's good. This one needs to be done. We're almost finished them all, except for that one. That one's got me perplexed. Now remember I said I wasn't going to trim these because it's just too thin. All right, let's get the right shape. Move all of our things out of our way. Just going to take off some of that paper. Don't want the pointy bits. Alrighty, so I'm thinking this reminds me of a hill, and I feel like these remind me of trees. So I'll have one in the foreground, one in the background, and then we need to have a statement. This one is going to, or maybe this statement. That goes right across from side to side. Do I like that? I kind of do like that. Let's put that in there right now. Before I change my mind, some things come together much quicker than others. So let me make sure I put this on nice and straight. Hold it down for a minute. There we go. All right, now these guys, I'm going to do that curly thing on them. And the background one, is going to be right there. So when I press this down, because I curled it, it gives it a three-dimensional feel. So I will pull that out for you in just a moment so you can see what I mean. Okay, so you can see that it's popped up a little bit. Those are popped up a little bit, and these guys I'm actually going to pop dot. So I'm going to need very thin pop dots. I'm just going to cut thin little pieces of my pop stuff. And this one I think I'm going to pop in half. It's a bit smaller. Ooh! Too many things in the way. And this one is going to go in here as well. There we go. And this I'm just going to put some glue because I want it to lay flat. Oops, let go. And this one, actually, no, that's fine. It is going to be a little bit lower and over slightly. So straight, not on a jaunty angle. There we go. So there we are. They look kind of cute. Okay, so then where is my little guy gonna go? I think he can go right there. Perfect place for him. So I'll cut off a little corner. And let's put him there. Whoopsie. What happened there? All right. The weight down, and now we're finishing off this piece. Now, interesting enough, I had like as I was pulling things out, I kind of was considering how the composition might look. But of course, it never turns out exactly like where I start from in the first place, ever. So that's kind of fun. Now this is a little piece of plastic, and you got to make sure you take off the protective cover for it to want to stay. And I'm going to try sticking it on with just clear glue. I'm not sure whether it will stay stuck or not. I might have to put some Glossy Accents or something. So we're just going to let it have a little bit of weight. Actually, this is probably more focused of the weight. There we go. Alrighty. And I'm going to nestle this little guy right in amongst the junk at the bottom there. The junk that isn't junk. Alright. And grab him with my tweezers. Flip him over. Put him in the little spot he's going to live in. And I'm just going to hold it for a few minutes. And then Make-A-Wish is going to go from the right hand side across. Yep. I don't think that's going to stick, but anyway. Let's get some glue. Huh, can't get some glue. I was using the glue as my weight. There we go. And this is going to come right from the edge, lined up. I've got to stand up for this again. Give it a second. There we go. No, this does not want to stay on there. So let's take off all that residue glue. Grab some Glossy Accents. And I'm not going to push down on this. I'm just going to let it do its thing. And hopefully that will stay. This guy's done. Oh, and I need to trim off the bottoms of this. Looks like I'm going to have to weigh that down. So I'm going to put that over there and weigh it down. All right. So this one is done. Just one life. Now to finish these off, I have printed things that I put in the back, and I have a sticky note that tells me where I got them from. I'm not done with this one, but you'll see the finished piece when you see all of them at the beginning. So I went to a blog called scrappystickyinky.wordpress.com, and they had on that website a document. So these are the documents that I was talking about that I borrowed from scrappystickyinky.wordpress.com, and they are ATC pre-set up for you, ATC description cards. So on the back of these cards, let me pick one that won't fall apart. On the back of this cards, you cut these out and put them on the back and fill them out with the title of what it is, the card, the number of card of how many you made, the date you made it, your contact info if you want to put that, and your name. Or it says signature, but yeah, I guess if people are collecting them and you become famous, a signature is an important thing. So these go on the back of the cards, and you can get them portrait and landscape. So that's just the finishing part of what you do when you're done. All right, so let's take a look here. We have all these guys complete. I have 2 of those. Wow, I don't know if I can fit them all in the screen. 1, 2, 3. And we'll put those 2 up there. There we go. So there is our 8 finished ATC cards. Looks like I hit my camera, so let me straighten that out a little bit for you. There we go. 8 finished ATC cards in a couple of hours. And the only one that isn't finished is this one, because I just need something else here. But you will see what that something else is when you see the photo at the beginning of the video. So I hope you enjoyed the video tonight. If you did, please feel free to share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe and like my video at the end of the video under the video in YouTube. And we will see you next Thursday. Bye now.